Welcome to She Rebel Radio, a community-driven podcast dedicated to supporting women to unlearn conventional rules and create businesses of significance. Each season, She Rebel Radio brings you insights and advice from noteworthy women entrepreneurs who strive to create more meaning, impact, and purpose. Now here is your host, Lulu Minns.
Welcome to episode 79 of She Rebel Radio, Why We Bring Retreats with Gemma Williams. Gemma is the founder of Gem Yoga, and as a yoga teacher of over 10 years, she has created and provided yoga teacher training retreats all over the world, professional CPD courses, and also business mentoring for yoga teachers. More recently, we've been co-hosting retreats together. She is my business partner, good friend, and even a previous client of mine. Gems, it's amazing to have you here. How are you doing?
Hey Lulu, yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, my pleasure. As we talk all the time, but it's really exciting to be recording a podcast episode with you.
Yeah, about our favourite subject.
Yeah, our favourite subject, retreats. And I'd love to kind of kick off with, how have retreats supported you in the past? Have you been on retreats? How did that all start for you?
Yeah, I think I've been on some organised yoga retreats and also quite training based. I've always done my yoga training abroad, which has been kind of retreat settings. But I've also done a lot of travelling on my own. And even in life, when I feel like I kind of need that retreat space, I will often then take myself, into nature or I go away for a break on my own. So I think I've always in my life had that part of me that gravitates towards retreats when I need that space, but it might not necessarily always be an organised thing, or it might be a silent meditation place or something. So, and how they've helped me, I think our modern lives are just very fast, and we kind of like on a treadmill almost, and we don't have that time to stop and be and reflect and question where we are in our life and change, where do we want to make changes. And that retreat space, connecting back to ourselves, back to nature, it just helps with all of that. It gives you clarity, and then you give, and also the restorative nurturing to give you the energy to go back into life with a renewed perspective and renewed energy. So yeah, I think that they help me a lot and they're very powerful. Yeah,
absolutely. As you said, you've kind of gone off traveling on your own, go off into nature. So sometimes, you're creating your own retreat. Sometimes you've attended more organized retreats. And how long have you been doing that, would you say? Has that been something you've been doing from like a young age?
Yeah, I think from a young age, I've often gone off on my own. That's always been in me. I taught on my first retreat 2013, 2014. The first retreat I taught, which I run all on my own, was took quite a few people to Sweden. 2014. That was like an amazing retreat in this beautiful cottage on this land in Sweden. But and I did it all on my own, and it was like a very big job. I did everything. And, now it's like just a blessing to work with Lulu. It's just a whole different ball game when you share all of that with somebody.
Yeah. I did my first retreat. We don't shrink back, do we? I did my first one in Morocco in 2000.
Yeah.
All on my own. Although my virtual assistant was going to fly out. She's got a fear of flights, so she had a meltdown the day before.
Oh.
But I did it all on my own, and it was great.
Yeah,
you are taking on a lot, aren't you?
It's massive, and the biggest. Well, yeah, I mean, to hold a retreat, there's many aspects. There's holding the space for the people and their stuff. There's all the organisation, there's all the booking, there's all the little hiccups that come up. And if it's just you, it's so much. And then you're there to be in the best place you can be to facilitate that space. So when I'm working with Lulu, we can both be there for each other. And for me, it's a whole different, when I teach them on my own to when I do them with you, Lulu, it's like me and Lulu have said, like when we teach together, it's like we're on a retreat. Like we can go have a nap if we want, and I feel so supported when we're supporting each other and the retreat, that it has a whole different energy for the women coming on the retreat.
Yeah,
because we're in that vibe as well. We're not like, even though we're acting very like I'm holding space, there's so many things going on in the head, and we could be a little bit stressed. So it's a really honour and blessing, doing it with you. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes any of those stresses away, and we can be even more fully present. And I just love how we, pick up where the other one needs.
Yes.
Yeah, we just know, don't we, that we don't need to verbally communicate who's doing what next, really. It just flows. So your first retreat was 2013, 2014. in Sweden. Why there? What was kind of was that a teacher training? What was the kind
of... It was just a retreat. It was a week long as well.
Oh God.
It was actually 9 days.
Wow.
So it was like, one day getting there, 1 day back, and 7 days full retreat. And so my background from when I was 21 is that I've done a lot of traveling on my own, and I would always go away for sometimes over a year. I've been away a lot, and it would always be for a few months at a time. And when I was younger, I just didn't understand people going away for a week, like why would, you need 3 months to unwind kind of thing. And I really was like that for for many years. And then when it came to running retreats, the back end of all this traveling, I was like, you can't go away for you need like at least a week to unwind, to have that retreat essence and get all, all the gifts from nature and be in a whole different perspective. So that was my reasoning going to Sweden, because I had friends there in the kind of north, but beautiful land, beautiful energy of the land, a beautiful cottage that had a big kitchen where we did the yoga. It was on an organic farm, so all the veg and everything that we cooked with was all from the farm. So it was just a place I knew that was very nurturing. There was animals, there was horses, it was just idyllic, really. It's in the mountains and forest. And so I thought, we can't do a retreat for a weekend, 9 days. So it was a really big thing, and it was a lot of work. And then I mentor yoga teachers for yoga business. And if they're interested in retreats, I'm always like, it's great if you collaborate with someone and do a weekend somewhere near you first.
Yeah.
And I can say that from experience. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think I've shared on the podcast before in Morocco, it was cheaper for me to pay the riad in cash, because there's a charge over there, but you can't take money over. So, I was like getting hordes of cash out of the machine and paying the balance, and, there's practical things that you're like, I could really do with some support. Right. Yeah. And a partner. So how is it that we got started in hosting retreats together? I'd love for us to talk about.
I was in Brighton, and so was Lulu near Brighton, and I was teaching a lot. So me wanting this pool to just facilitate and focus on retreats now is because in the past, when I was a yoga teacher or just teaching lots of classes, I was, like a lot of yoga teachers, very stressed. I didn't even know I was stressed, but I was working pretty much every day. I was a PT as well, and I was teaching classes. And that's where I met Lulu at one of my Ashtanga classes. And it was lovely to meet Lulu. And Lulu was doing business coaching. And up until that point, I've been a bit of a too independent kind of person. Like I've just said, doing everything on my own. And I never thought, it's a bit of a coaching world out there now. And I've always thought it wouldn't resonate with me. I'm fine. I can do everything on my own. And then I just met Lulu for a coffee. And no intention.
Day wrong initially, didn't I?
Yes, there was a bit of like a mix up, but then a synchronicity, and as me and Lulu have lots of synchronicities, that's why it really feels very in flow. And we just had one conversation, and I just thought, no, I should do some work with Lulu. And then when these things align, the money of the course, what she was presenting to me, I think it was the 6 months coaching, then the money just came into my bank at very random ways, like one check and then one payment. And that work was a blessing, and that was a big shift in my own work, that I was on this treadmill with all my work, and Lulu gave me the coaching to understand. So from that shift, I've let go of all my classes, and now I just do retreats and courses. And the courses, I try to do them as retreat spaces as well. So that's how me and Lulu was already doing retreats. I was already doing retreats. And a little bit like we've just mentioned, me and Lulu are both people that kind of big guns going, like we both have an idea and then we just go for it. And then working together, we still have those big, bold decisions, but we support each other in it as well.
Yeah.
So we work really well in that way.
We book retreats in a pandemic, don't we?
Yes. we just carry on.
Yeah, we carry on camping, and it will just work out. And I think, I can't remember if it was the first time you worked with me or the second time in terms of a retreat being attached to the program. I think, I can't remember anyway. And you were like, do you want me to do some yoga? And I was like, absolutely. And then just felt that you were doing so much around that as well. And what a beautiful space that we created together. So we kind of moved forward, didn't we?
Yeah, the first retreat we did together, I was attending the retreats, Candyland Studios in Devon, absolute beautiful place. Lulu had organised it and everything. I was coming as a participant at, like you said, the end of my coaching training with you. And I'd already been on another retreat with you in Rye, Hastings Way. And you said about doing the yoga. So I did, just as it would just be nice to do yoga with everyone. And then we'll talk about the sexy food, but we like to make sexy food on our retreats. And then I ended up making some sexy food as well. And it was just a flow, wasn't it? Like I was attending, but it felt like I was supporting as well, even though I wasn't supposed to be. Yeah. And it just flowed from there.
I always remember the sexy hummus. It's yes. You have to come on one of our retreats to experience that. But and also I think in between those two retreats, I came on your yin yoga teaching.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yeah.
Yeah, not to train I was like, oh, Gems, I really want to come, but I don't want to teach yoga. I just do the yoga. And again, it was amazing. And so I think we did 3 together that year or something like that. And,
yes, no, you're right. I think
mm-hmm. It was really powerful. So and on that note, why, I know that we both feel like we're, and it's not to rub, salt in the wound for anyone who's feeling really stressed out and things like that at the moment, but we quite often joke that we live our life like we're on a retreat anyway.
Yeah, and what you just said about, other people's out there thinking, like you said, rubbing the wounds, but I think the same with you, Lulu. Mm-hmm. We are where we are because we've been there. We've been to the overstressed, overdoing. We've done that, and now the other end of that is that this feels more right, more true. So me and Lulu do have a little joke that our lifestyles are like a retreat. We've both moved. I've moved to Devon, and Lulu's moved to Cornwall the same time independently. Like we didn't know each other was doing that, and now we want to run retreats in the southwest England, and we both live by beaches. We both, we do our laptop work and then we always go for a walk or go to the beach. We both eat really well. So we do our yoga, meditation, spiritual work, healing work. So we're kind of like, our lifestyles have just turned into becoming more retreat living. Yeah. And I think for me, it's the overflow of, when your cup overflows, it's like, this is my natural way of being and Lulu's. And we just want to share this with others.
Yeah. And then everything just becomes easier. And I had my family visiting me in Cornwall last week, and my sister said to me, "Oh, it's like you're on your own retreat in Cornwall." And I was talking to her about retreats, and we've always come down here on holiday and all of that. And I remember her saying to me a couple of years ago, I was procrastinating about which yoga class to go to, and she was kind of said, "Oh, is that the extent of your problems tomorrow?" And I was like, "Do you know what?" It actually is. Like, I don't know how I got here, but it actually is. Coming
that's from amazing.
A burnt out lawyer, and she's got 3 kids, job, etc. And I was like, I'm super grateful, and I know you are really, really grateful that that we find ourselves in this space. But we've had to do a lot of work to get there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So what are the changes and transformations that you've seen, that we've seen, for the women that have attended our retreats? Why is it so important for them?
I think one of the reasons why it's so important for women, especially, is because it's probably a lot of women listening to this, but we're the ones that kind of take on so much. And when it's like a family unit or at work, we kind of think of everyone. Men are more linear, but we're kind of holding everyone and thinking of everyone. And we might have these dreams and desires about our business or our passions and purpose, but kind of everything gets kind of taken over. And also with, kind of thousands of years of preconditioning behavior of, looking after the family, looking after everyone else before you, and kind of neglecting that self-love. So the retreat gives the women that time. And I always, as a yoga teacher as well, I always say that, because there's lots of mothers, maybe with young children as well, who think that they can't go on a retreat because they kind of feel guilty from leaving their children. And I always say that, if you're a mother and you come away on a retreat, then you're going to fulfill yourself and fill your energy up and have all the energy and kind of come back to you and come back to your inspired self, your true self, your purposeful self, to then come back to your family with new energy. And that inspires your children. So when we kind of not living our truth and not stepping in our purpose, then that's what we're rubbing off on those around us as well. And the more we step into our purpose and our truth, then that's what inspires everyone that we touch. So I think, with a world where everything is so busy and the woman takes on so much, it allows, we're really passionate about supporting women with their purpose and dreams, so they can shine in what their gifts are at the same time as holding those around them.
Yeah, because, you know, women, and, you know, I've been doing some research about this recently in terms of, you know, women not being given the space to have the luxury to develop their genius, and something we're both really passionate about. And it's come up a lot on She Rebel Radio recently in terms of that connection as women that we feel with everything and everyone. So we're kind of, you know, like the heart of often wherever it is that we go. But if that space in us is stressed and you know, overtired and all of that tends to rub off on everyone around us as well. So you know, taking that space, and also, you know, ladies, if you are the mother of girls as well, you know, you going off and doing stuff like that will really give her permission to go and do that herself, and really change the narrative for women that it's selfish and we, you know, should be there holding space for people all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And like, we're talking about a retreat, you know, we're talking about going off and doing a retreat, but it also filters out into everyday life. So if you're a mother or a woman that's you know, caring for others around you, then in your day, sometimes we can feel rushed and stressed, and we can't have, like, you know, half an hour to yourself for a walk in the nature, or half an hour for some meditation and yoga, or haven't got time to make that food that would be better for self-care and self-love. It's with the retreats, going to retreats, it's then, how can you filter that into your everyday and create that time for yourself? Because it is so important. And then those around you and your children are seeing that. And then that is a good role model to help, especially the young women, but also, you know, help those around you to, look after ourselves and have that self-care and self-love running through our lives and our days.
Yeah, and it's really that. And I think that's why we kind of joke we're on retreat all the time. It's coming out of so much of the doing and more into the being, and, you know, supporting other people to do that. And also to all the women out there that are not mothers, you know, us two included, in terms of it's still, and I think we can be left out of the conversation a lot, it's still so important. I know so many women that don't have children that still take on everyone else's stuff.
Totally.
And also need that space to really deliver from their higher self, from their greater being, you know, from that really powerful place of their truth, which you said. So why is it your purpose, retreats, and why is it our purpose as a duo?
My biggest passion has been through my whole life, and me and Lulu also kind of not joke but say how Lulu ends up living with women that she ends up also kind of supporting, and wherever I am, I often have friends visiting me, and it kind of almost turns into a retreat for them, not by any purpose. Like, even years ago, people would come, I'd make them a green smoothie in the morning, we'd do a bit of yoga, go for a nice walk in nature, and they'd always feel like they've been on a retreat, but out of no effort on my part. And I, again, like, coming back from what I said at the beginning, from my own point of view, is that it's a very fast, busy world out there. And also that living in towns and cities, kind of that disconnect from ourself and our truth, and our disconnect from nature, I think causes a lot of our problems and dis-ease and discomfort within ourselves. So my passion is just bringing people back to their true nature, bringing people back to their connection with nature, and also eating from the land. So, you know, fruit and vegetables from the land, and coming back to the natural rhythms of life. So for me, a retreat is coming back to more normal baseline of living. It's almost like, and sorry for those of you that don't do much yoga, but yoga in this modern world is very yang. If you might have heard of yin and yang being that dynamic, masculine, fast, and the yin being the receptive, feminine, restorative, nurturing. And our whole modern day life has become more yang, and yoga and training and, you know, exercise has become very fast. And then now there's a thing called yin yoga, which only kind of came out in the 1980s, which is like basically really chilling out in poses and very restorative. But actually, when yoga began, it looked very yin. So thousands of years ago, when yoga was created, all the poses looked very yin. So, you know, that was kind of like the baseline normal. And so now where we are right now, where we stand in life, is that we've come so far away from our natural balance. We've come so into the fast and the masculine. A retreat for me is pulling people back to their natural rhythm, coming back to a normal, coming back to like the homeostasis. So that is my biggest passion, is bringing back people back to themselves, being back to nature, natural rhythms of life, natural rhythms within them. And then whatever these problems are in this disjointed, dispersive energy, whatever's going on in their life, it's bringing everything back to wholeness and themselves, basically.
More of that feminine in, as you said, and you know, that separation that we have living in you know, cities and things like that, you know, brings back more of that loneliness and anxiety when, you know, we are used to living together in you know, those kind of more connected places. And I know before we hit record, we were, you know, excited and talking about some stuff and our purpose being around retreats. And we've had numerous conversations around it and why it is for us personally. And I was sharing with you about one of my old housemates when I was in my 20s, who was sharing my flat in Brighton when I was a kind of young lawyer. And she stayed with me for 6 months, and she said, and then she left. She was, you know, in a much better space emotionally. And she said to me, you need to like host retreats for women and sort them out, because that's obviously what you do, you know. And I'd just been there with the cats, you know, going to work, you know, chatting with her and doing my thing. And I kind of laughed. I was like, yeah, I'm going to work now, doing my proper job. And that only occurred to me, that conversation this past year, of like, wow, you know, including moving around Cornwall and it, you know, supporting various people in the places that I'm living, and you know, it comes so naturally to both of us, I think.
And just going back to the, you know, the question about the women, what do they get from it? It's the support. The another thing about what we were saying about women, they're normally doing so much for everyone around them, and then they go to retreats and they get the restorative and everything, but also the power of the women that come together, that support is also a big part of the transformation and coming back to ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah, such a huge part of that, definitely. It really is. It's you know, geese fly quicker when they're together. So it's that, it's that coming together is really powerful. What is it that's unique about what we bring?
I think we're both coming from different backgrounds. We both kind of obviously have met in this place of wanting to provide retreats for the same intentions. And I think it's our different backgrounds that kind of give maybe a more holistic retreat. We can kind of, you're coming from more of a business corporate environment. So you can, all the women that are coming from that kind of understanding, you can really support them. And I've come from a different background of more the kind of yoga and this very deeper spiritual side. I've spent a lot of time, you know, with my own practices and with training and traveling and different teachers globally. So I feel like that kind of that collaboration and just I guess energetically, me and you, Lulu, we just balance each other somehow. And I think the combination of us is part of why our retreats are very unique.
Yeah, we have these real similarities and deep understanding, and then we have these kind of different aspects that that kind of shoot off and that we can support people with and all of that kind of stuff. So why do you think we love supporting female founders in particular?
I think also from both of our backgrounds, like we're just talking about our work history, is that we're both independent women who have set up their own businesses, have gone through the usual, you know, well, I can talk for myself anyway, overworking, kind of being on that rat race, not making that abundant money, but just working every day, kind of chipping away and working quite in a masculine way. But through our own self-inquiry and practices and listening to our truth, we've both steered towards now working in our business more from the feminine. And now we can, both me and you, wait for our little nudges of intuition and inspiration. We don't, instead of like, I'm going to do this week, we're both more looking at our menstrual awareness, where we are in our menstrual cycle, what the season is, like planning over on a yearly basis of maybe how much energy we're putting through each season. And there's more of a feminine flow in the way we both work in business now. So we have that, we've come from one side to the other side. So I feel that both of us have had that journey. So that I feel that that's why we can offer that to the women that come.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think we've both found ourselves in periods, you know, massive periods, me and my corporate career and particularly, you know, at points in my business for sure, in that self-sacrificing for others.
Yes.
You know, and I know we found in terms of, as we were talking about earlier, in self-sacrificing for family members, again, all of that stuff, doing all the stuff, and actually, really taking a step back so we can really resonate with women on that. And we both have businesses, and what that takes, and you really do. And we've been privileged enough to have the resources to create those spaces where you can really bring all that feminine stuff forward, and things just feel so much easier when you do that. So it's an honor to create that space, and we're feeling, so many women, as we understand on an energetic level, are really feeling that calling for that right now, and not knowing particularly how they can work out all of those steps. So thank you so much for sharing. What is next for our retreats, and what are we really excited about?
This is a very exciting question. Me and Lulu at the moment, for those that know, we've got a few retreats this year, and they're for women, and they're for supporting women in business, and they're at different locations, and we like to scout out really locations that really resonate with the way we work, in nature. And at the moment, we're kind of looking or opening up to the universe to maybe finding premises. We don't know where, but that's really exciting. And so on a physical side, it would be looking at location and premises to maybe expand in a place. And also on the actual content of the retreats, at the moment, we very much, we know how important it is right now for supporting the women in business, 100%. But then from there, we would really like to also venture out to, for example, people in addiction recovery, creativity as well. So bringing like yoga, meditation, but like practicing creativity is helping us with the way we work in our feminine principles in business. So the more kind of we are in our creativity, then that also helps with our business as well. And basically, there's just, it could go on, and we, it's very open, isn't it? There's so many things that we can do.
We've got, and I think, the kind of crux behind that, isn't it? And we've got, the Feminist Success is our first retreat that we're doing later this month. But it's really about bringing those feminine principles, intuition, healing, etc., into so many different things. Although women in business is our massive focus at the moment, and the effect of the pandemic on women and all of that stuff. But I often say to clients, and we really do practice what we preach, is that I don't know if we had that conversation when I was working with you as a coach, if that, like, paint by numbers, right? You have that vision and you keep on adding to that. We've got this real vision, now that's really come through in terms of, actually our own premises and all of that kind of stuff, and these different groups of people that we know we can support with the tools and the signature retreats that we are creating and continue to create. So it's a very exciting time for us. Is there anything else that you want to share before we go?
I don't think so. It's been lovely to talk to you on this subject, and I think it is our most exciting, favourite subject to talk about. Even when we're not working, we're always bringing these ideas in, and I'm just very excited and blessed to be on this path with you, Lulu. I'm very excited for the future of how we're expanding together.
Yeah, me too. And I think just that with the pandemic, of some of the things that really can happen, and I think we've both really lent into trust, and I've talked about that on the previous episode of She Rebel Radio with the founder of Restfest, that leaning into trust. We were both supposed to be traveling in 2020, and certainly the first half of 2021, and we found ourselves in Devon and Cornwall. Really, as we said, we didn't have a conversation about that. It was just like, oh, I'm going to Devon, I'm going to Cornwall, and and I'm really trusted what started to fall away, allowed it to fall away, and really practiced what we preach, and really tuned in with ourselves of our deeper purpose, why we're here, what we do, and it's really come forward into lots of magic that we're creating this year and beyond. So amazing to work with you too.
And one little more thing to add is that for me and you've always been doing retreats. I love doing retreats, but for me now, like what you just said about the pandemic, the journey through the pandemic, and right now it feels like the retreats are more important now than ever, and that feels like a real strong feeling inside of me. Like I really just want to put my all into the retreats because it's so needed right now.
We're super focused on it, aren't we? Amazing. Have a good rest of the day, and such an honour to have you at last on She Rebel Radio.
Thank you, Lulu. Thank you. Have a lovely day. Thanks.
And before you go, if you would like to find out more about the retreats that we have available in 2021 and to apply for one of the last remaining spaces we have for our retreat schedule this year, then you can do so either at lulumins.com or gemyoga.co.uk.
Thanks for listening to She Rebel Radio, the podcast for women unlearning conventional rules and creating their businesses of significance. She Rebel Radio is executive produced by award-winning coach and advocate Lulu Mins. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit subscribe. And if you're feeling social, find Lulu Mins and the She Rebel Radio community using the links below.